Hello everybody, it's the Abstractionist. I'm here with Mercury Spring 2023. Let's get into it. Ancestors, guides of highest order, please come through, deliver the messages that need to be told. The messages come through, serve the highest good of everyone involved, to be high vibrational, inspirational. Helping people go in the right direction. Okay. I'm using the OK Tarot. And Astral Alignment deck. This one is going to be consistent throughout all of the readings pretty much. Knight of Swords. Okay, so the first thing I heard was protect against defeat. So this could be a defeatist mindset. This could be, excuse me, some of you guys could be placed on a losing team. And what I mean by that is that, like, make sure you guys are like still recording. Yeah. You could be placed on a losing team or a team that doesn't expect much, or there's not many expectations of them. And when you get there, if you're the Queen of Pentacles, you may be tasked with like trying to like turn this shit around. I would say whatever background you have when it comes to dealing with certain issues, you may have to leave some of that behind because it's an old model that you may not be able to use. Like with the Two of Swords, it's like a lot of stop and start energy. Because what this thing is challenging your own beliefs about why this problem exists in the first place. So what do I mean by that? So you could be a very much into, like, if you work hard, it'll like work out, and then like you meet people who like have worked hard their whole lives and they haven't gotten anywhere, and like that's a conundrum for you because based on what you were told in your experiences, because they could be legit experiences that you know of people like working hard and like making it or whatever, like being confronted with evidence of the on the contrary could be very like startling. And so you have to like revamp your ideas, and that may also bring your energy down. Like with me, I kind of feel like the Four of Pentacles is not really a high vibrational stance in the first place, but you could be very attached to that stance, right? Like you could be very attached to the stance that like I just said, or whatever stance that you believe. It could be long held beliefs, and it could be beliefs that have really gotten you somewhere for yourself. And that so you may have to realize like individuation when it comes to certain philosophies that we try to apply to other people, they just don't like fucking work. So that may just be like really hard for you to figure out that like, whoa, like people have different life experiences from me, and that like dealing with those experiences is like kind of weird. And we all have these moments. Like people try to make it seem like it's just a certain group of people that have these sort of moments where they have to be like, oh man, I gotta reevaluate. It's the same thing for people who live in like maybe more marginalized communities. Not everybody in that community thinks the same way. Everybody in that community has the same belief systems about that marginalized community. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and there's the Hierophant under that, and the Empress under that, and the Sun under that. Interesting. So these are like really well maintained beliefs, and possibly like well rewarded beliefs that you've had. You also could be working for a company that like doesn't really do much in terms of what they say they're going to do, or they paint the picture that their solutions are better than they actually are. So don't be surprised if the company gets audited. Don't be surprised if like there ends up being a few errors that have to be checked. Yeah, it could be a few people getting audited. It could be a few people being called in for review because what they're saying they're doing, they're not doing, or whatever progress they're saying they're doing, they're not doing. And this could be like something that, if you want to throw your like humanitarian hat behind, like I mentioned this in my Pluto and Aquarius video, the most recent one, that like be careful of what humanitarian groups that you support and actually do thorough research, because a few of these are just like, they're not fronts for like bad things, but the system that they have set up doesn't work in a way that really achieves the aims of what we're doing. And if you are a part of an organization like this, usually like this is in a nonprofit space, you find that like people have like very idealistic ideas and very rooted ideas about what will help other people without an actual knowledge of those people via actually talking to the people and doing perhaps smaller scale programs and processes and seeing if those work, as opposed to spending like billions of dollars, millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to then kind of realize a few months in, a few years in, this program doesn't work. So you could also be putting your child in school and the method that they're talking about is very well established or very well liked, has a lot of endorsement, but it could be something that once you do a lot more review and you actually experience your child's mental capacities, that you reevaluate why you are putting them in this program. Because it could be a lot of money up front and you may not get out of it what you think you're going to get out of it based on what I'm seeing. So yeah, like there would just be a lot of trying to figure out the root, perhaps, beliefs about whatever this issue is. What do you actually believe that this problem is? And if you like, what do you believe that it is? What do you believe that it's doing? What do you believe it has done? And then like fact check that, right? If you feel like it's cost money, research whether or not it did, because if it didn't, then you have to reformulate your stance on what this is, right? If you get a mixed bag, then what were the peculiarities that some people were like, okay, it worked, and some people were like, it didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, so think about that when you're trying to evaluate something, even if you're like starting a business, even if you're working a nonprofit, doing something for your child, doing something for yourself. Really get to know the playing field that you're trying to play on and why it was established like that. Because you may find that the aim of the organization, and you could become disillusioned with that, with what you find that the organization was not necessarily founded on the principles, the core values that you have regarding the work that you do. So the core values that you have, they seem like they are aligned with this business based on what they do, based on the industry or the population that they serve. But the core values and why it was founded may not be like the reasons why you think. And so you may have to reevaluate what you think you know about the job that you've gotten, or the real purposes of why you want to do X, Y, and Z, or the real purposes of why people do what they do, and blah, blah, blah. And actually having a good understanding of it with this Sun card helps you make a lot better decision, like better decisions. A Square. So yeah, there may be some tension regarding what you really think about this. So the IC, Juno. Oh Lord, no. I think I lost one. Ah, there it is. And then Sagittarius came out again. So your Juno may be in Sag, your IC may be in Sag. Sag may be, you may have a planet in Sag squaring. So your Mercury may be in Sag and it's squaring something. Doesn't necessarily have to. But I think with that Sag coming out, 7th house, what you thought other people, and perhaps it's what you thought other people would go into certain industries for, right? Like the healthcare field is like one of the main things that comes to mind. As someone who's a pharmacy technician, you would think that people go into the healthcare fields or healthcare industry or medical field to like perhaps help people or increase their standard of living, as far as like educating people on their well-being, prescribing things that are the best outcome for people. And what you find is that like people get sponsored to do certain stuff. People go into healthcare because they know it's good bang for their buck as far as education. They know long term they can be there for like 10-20 years because people are always going to be sick. There's a lot of people who are very abusive that go into fields where people are very weak, needy. And I don't mean that in a bad way, like physically they could be weak. They could be needy in terms of they need a lot of services, and people go there because in their own fucked up ass mind, they get some sort of power trip off of treating people a certain way. There is no interest in the human that is receiving this care, this service, this advice, this authorization. And so you may find that you're very at odds with the system itself, and why you went in there is not why everyone else goes in there, and it's also not why it was established. So dealing with that could be a really hard pill to swallow, and you have the choice. You can either realize that and move on, or realize it and work within your actual integrity and truth and find better spaces where that capacity to grow and learn and be yourself while you're growing and learning is a lot stronger, a lot higher. And so it may feel like a really big loss in life to do that. And it may take you a really long time to get to that point, you know? Of feeling like, hey, what I am going for is really like helpful and like helpful to society and helpful to my mental esteem, self-esteem, self-image as well. Because what you do, I feel like is you're very attached to it, right? Like you're very attached to it in the mental processes you have. You're very attached to it in like what you want the outcomes to be. You're very attached. And so that attachment may leave you to be in fields and positions far too long. And what you need to do is really reevaluate why you're here, what the industry is, what the industry's aims are, and can you come to a compromise within yourself about that? And if so, where do you go from there to find the best fit for yourself? So these are things that you need to figure out. Thank you, Mercury. I hope that you enjoyed this reading, and I will see you in the next season. Bye.